अर्जुन स्टार्ट कर। म्यूट आहे तू.
नमस्कार. महाराष्ट्र राज्य उच्च व तंत्र शिक्षण विभाग, महाराष्ट्र माहिती तंत्रज्ञान सहाय्यता केंद्र यांच्या संयुक्त विद्यमाने सुरू असणाऱ्या करिअर कट्टा या उपक्रमांतर्गत व गर्जे मराठी ग्लोबल यांच्या संयुक्त विद्यमाने सुरू असणाऱ्या संवाद शृंखलेच्या या सत्रामध्ये आपणा सर्वांचे मनस्वी स्वागत. तर आज आपल्या या संवाद शृंखलेसाठी अतिथी आपल्याला लाभलेले आहेत माननीय नरेंद्र पाटील सर. तर यांचा परिचय करून देण्यासाठी करिअर कट्ट्याची पदाधिकारी पूर्वा वानखेडे यांस मी विनंती करते.
धन्यवाद पर्जन्य. महाराष्ट्र राज्य उच्च व तंत्र शिक्षण विभाग व महाराष्ट्र माहिती तंत्रज्ञान सहाय्यता केंद्र यांच्या संयुक्त विद्यमाने सुरू असणारा करिअर कट्टा या उपक्रमाअंतर्गत गर्जे मराठा ग्लोबल यांच्या सहकार्याने सुरू असलेली आपली ही संवाद शृंखला आणि या संवाद शृंखलेचा आजचा हा 6वा एपिसोड. विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, आपल्यासोबत या 6व्या एपिसोड मध्ये खरोखर एक फार मोठं व्यक्तिमत्व आपल्यासोबत जुळलेलं आहे. नरेंद्र पाटील सर. खरं पाहता त्यांना एक मोठा असा अनुभव आहे. जवळपास बिझनेस डेव्हलपमेंट, बिझनेस अनालिटिक्स, डाटा स्ट्रक्चर, डाटा डेव्हलपमेंट, सॉफ्टवेअर अशा विस्तीर्ण अशा क्षेत्रांमध्ये त्यांनी आपलं कर्तृत्व बजावलेलं आहे. खरोखर 25 वर्षापेक्षा अधिक काळ त्यांनी छोट्या आणि प्रायमरी स्टेजच्या कंपनींना घेऊन मोठं असं कंपन्या सुरुवात केल्या आणि त्यांचं रेव्हेन्यू जनरेशन एक मायनस मधून प्लस मध्ये आणि त्याचाही 10x 100x नेण्याचं काम त्यांनी केलं. स्टार्टअप वेट मध्ये मार्केट इंजिन यांसारख्या कंपन्या तिथे त्यांनी संस्थापक आणि फाउंडर तिथे राहिले आहेत. तिथे त्यांचा मेन उद्देश हाच की छोट्या कंपन्यांना घेऊन, छोट्या व्यवसायांना घेऊन मोठ्या प्रमाणात त्यांचं रेव्हेन्यू जनरेट करून देणे आणि कुठेतरी एक त्यांचं मोठं व्यासपीठ त्यांना उपलब्ध करून देऊन त्यांचा मोठा बिझनेस तिथे डेव्हलप करणे. याचबरोबर त्यांनी अनेक मोठमोठ्या कंपन्यांमध्ये सुद्धा काम केलेलं आहे. जसं की ट्रायनेट या कंपनीमध्ये त्यांनी $2 अब्ज असं उत्पादन तिथं चालतं आणि तिथले ते उत्पादन क्षेत्रामध्ये सुद्धा त्यांनी त्यांचं लिडिंग रोल परफॉर्म केला आहे. तसेच NG डाटा या कंपन्यांमध्ये सुद्धा उत्पादनासाठी त्यांनी मोठा हातभार लावलेला. खरोखर नरेंद्र पाटील सर हे फक्त व्यावसायिक किंवा एक व्यावसायिक लीडर नाहीये, तर एक फार मोठं ते व्यक्तिमत्व असून एक वक्ते सुद्धा आहेत. त्यांनी TI सिलिकॉन व्हॅली, TI पुणे, लॉ वर्ल्ड यांसारख्या विस्तीर्ण अशा जगप्रसिद्ध प्लॅटफॉर्मवर आपलं विचार मांडलेले आहेत. तसेच फोर्ब्स मॅगझिन मध्ये आणि केलॉग्स इनसाइड या जगप्रसिद्ध अशा प्रकाशनामध्ये सुद्धा त्यांचे विचार आणि त्यांच्यावर लेख सुद्धा आलेले आहेत. तर एकंदरीत पाहता नरेंद्र पाटील सर हे एक व्यक्ती नसताना एक फार मोठं व्यक्तिमत्व आहे. विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, जेव्हा एखादी कल्पना येते म्हणजे एखादी गोष्ट प्रॅक्टिकल मध्ये येण्या अगोदर त्याची कुठेतरी आपल्या मनात कल्पना येत असते. अशा या कल्पनेंना विचारात घेऊन, अशा या कल्पनेंवर विचार करून त्याला प्रतिसाद देऊन त्यातून एक मोठा व्यवसाय तयार करणं आणि त्याबरोबरच इतरांना त्याबद्दल प्रेरणा करणं असं हे मोठं व्यक्तिमत्व आपल्यासोबत जुळलेलं आहे. आणि अशा या त्यांच्या अनुभवातून, त्यांच्या जीवन प्रवासातून निश्चितच आपण भरपूर काही गोष्टी शिकू, अंगीकृत करू ही इच्छा बाळगते आणि या आपल्या संवाद शृंखलेच्या 6व्या एपिसोडला सुरुवात करूया अशी विनंती. धन्यवाद.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Uh, Anybody else wants to kick off, or do you want me to get started?
Get started.
स्टार्ट सर्व्हिस.
Okay. So, again, नमस्कार मंडळी. आनंद होतोय मला. सगळ्यात आधी आनंद गानू सर आणि त्यांनी जे चालू केलेलं आहे प्रचंड मोठा आता वृक्ष झाला. आता तो छोटंसं रोपटं होतं 2-3 वर्षापूर्वी. मला आठवतं आम्ही एका स्टारबक्समध्ये भेटलो होतो तेव्हा. आणि सो त्याच्या पाठीमागं प्रचंड मोठी एक संस्था त्यांनी उभी केलेली आहे आणि जगभर मराठी माणसांना त्यांना इनोव्हेशनमध्ये किंवा व्यवसाय करायचा असेल, त्याच्यामध्ये जर काही करायचं असेल किंवा बिझनेसमध्ये पण त्यांना पुढे जायचं असेल, तर आता कोणीतरी आहे एकमेकासाठी, ही जी भावना आहे, राईट. तर I will talk in English and I'll talk in Marathi, both. Okay. So, pardon me for not talking completely in Marathi. But basically, I have had so many coaches, right, throughout my life. Throughout my life. जेव्हा गाणू सर म्हणले की तुम्ही आपल्या मुलांशी जरा बोला. ओके. दिस इज ऑल पेईंग फॉरवर्ड इन माय माइंड. ओके. खूप लोकांनी माझ्यासाठी काही काही केलेलं आहे. राईट. आणि त्यातले काही आता म्हणजे नाही पण आहेत जगामध्ये. राईट. आणि त्या लोकांनी माझ्या आयुष्यावर प्रचंड इम्पॅक्ट केलेला आहे. भारतातच नाही, अमेरिकेत आल्यावर सुद्धा वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे लोक होते. बट दे हेल्प मी. राईट. आणि सो दिस इज अटेम्प्ट टू ट्राय टू गिव्ह बॅक. इनफॅक्ट मी जे आज ज्या टॉपिकवर आज बोलणार आहे, अदर दॅन व्हेरी ब्रीफ लाईफ स्टोरी विच इज जस्ट गॉट आय शेअर, तो टॉपिक सुद्धा माझे प्रोफेसर आहेत केलॉग नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न मधले, प्रोफेसर क्रेग वॉर्टमन. आणि इन्स्पिरेशनल लीडर. ही गोज इन टू कंपनीज लाईक गुगल आणि त्यांचे सिनियर एक्झिक्युटिव्हला ते कोचिंग करतात. राईट. टीच करतात. तर त्यांचं एक टॉपिक आहे, गेटिंग गुड ॲट गेटिंग ग्रेट. राईट. हाऊ एनीबडी कॅन गेट ग्रेट ॲट एनिथिंग इन 180 days. आणि इट्स नॉट जस्ट अ स्लोगन, त्याचं फ्रेमवर्क त्यांनी तयार केलेलं आहे. राईट. आणि पार्ट ऑफ इट मी आयुष्यामध्ये थोडंफार का होईना अप्लाय करायचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे अलॉंग द वे. राईट. आणि मी जेव्हा लाईफ स्टोरी शेअर करेल तेव्हा माझ्या दृष्टीने मी काही फार कमवलेलं नाहीये किंवा अचीव्ह केलेलं नाहीये. राईट. इट्स अ जर्नी. इट्स स्टील इन अ व्हेरी अर्ली स्टेज फॉर मी. आणि देर इज लॉट दॅट कॅन बी डन. राईट. देर इज लॉट दॅट कॅन बी डन. तर बट जे काय मी सांगेल त्याच्यात ते सुद्धा या फ्रेमवर्कच्या दृष्टीने सांगेल. आणि त्या फ्रेमवर्कमध्ये इन ऑर्डर फॉर अस टू गेट रिअली ग्रेट ॲट समथिंग, वन इज आवर माइंडसेट हॅज टू बी डिफरंट. राईट. माइंडसेट हॅज टू बी डिफरंट. दॅट्स नंबर वन. देन वी हॅव टू अक्वायर नॉलेज. आणि नॉलेज आपल्याकडे बरेच लोक अक्वायर करतात. पण देन वी हॅव टू हॅव डिसिप्लिन टू नो व्हॉट नॉलेज टू यूज वेअर. राईट. आपल्याकडे खूप असतं सांगण्यासारखं, पण त्यातल्या काहीच गोष्टी आपण सांगायच्या असतात. ते स्किल असतं. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, मला डिजिटल मार्केटिंगमध्ये बरंच काही माहिती आहे आणि बरंच काही माहिती नाही पण आहे. ओके. पण त्यातलं एक जर मला प्रेझेंटेशन द्यायचं असेल तर त्यातल्या कुठल्या गोष्टी मी बाहेर आणायच्या आणि कुठल्या गोष्टी नाही आणायच्या. राईट. हे स्किल झालं. हे नॉलेज नाही. नॉलेज भरपूर आहे, पण त्यातल्या कुठल्या गोष्टी ऍक्च्युअली मी प्रेझेंट करायच्या, दॅट बिकम्स अ स्किल. And when you actually start presenting, knowing who your audience is, or knowing what time, how much time you have, and all that, and not say a whole bunch of things that you could have said, becomes the discipline, right? So you need knowledge, skills, discipline. You need a coach. So keep that in mind. मी माझ्या सुरुवातीला सांगितलं की एक नाही, मल्टिपल कोचेस लागतात. मल्टिपल कोचेस लागतात आयुष्यामध्ये. कधी कधी तर तुमचे पियर, तुमचे मुलं सुद्धा तुमचा कोच होतात. ओके. आणि ऑफकोर्स आपल्याकडे यंग क्राऊड आहे, तर त्यामुळे तो आता अप्लाय होणार नाही तुम्हाला. बट कोचेस लागतात. कोचेस तुमचे मित्र पण असू शकतात. ओके. कारण ऑल यू नीड समटाइम्स इज somebody who knows enough, आणि दे कॅन ॲक्च्युअली गिव्ह यू फीडबॅक. अकाउंटेबिलिटी लागते. कुठल्याही गोष्टीमध्ये पुढे सरकत राहण्यासाठी तुम्हाला अकाउंटेबिलिटी लागते. तुम्ही म्हणता मी हे करणार आहे, तर ते तुम्हाला विचारायला तू त्याच्यासाठी काय केलं आज, व्हॉट डिड यू डू टुडे टू मेक प्रोग्रेस ऑन दॅट. राईट. अकाउंटेबिलिटी कोच लागतो. आणि त्याच्यानंतर डेलिबरेट प्रॅक्टिस लागते. डेलिबरेट प्रॅक्टिस. राईट. दॅट्स द वर्ड इज डेलिबरेट, अँड आय एम गोना टॉक अबाउट दिस थ्रू आउट दिस सेशन. राईट. आणि मग चॉईसेस तुम्ही काय करता. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, तुम्हाला जर एक नवीन गोष्ट शिकायची आहे आणि त्याच्यासाठी तुम्हाला ग्रेट व्हायचं आहे, तर तुमच्या आयुष्यात बऱ्याच गोष्टी अशा करत असाल तुम्ही, त्यातली कुठली गोष्ट तुम्ही म्हणणार की मी ही एक गोष्ट नाही करणार आता. कारण वेळ टाइम इज फायनाईट. टाइम कुठून येणार. सो कुठल्या गोष्टीला तुम्ही नाही म्हणणार हे पण तुम्हाला कळलं पाहिजे. ओके. सो दीज आर थिंग्स आय एम गोना कव्हर. सो फ्रॉम अ क्विक लाईफ स्टोरी पर्स्पेक्टिव्ह, I was born in Pune. Okay. I don't know, my parents know, right? I was born in Pune, but I grew my first couple of years. I grew in, Umarga, near Latur, Usmanabad area, right? That's where I grew. My dad was working there. ॲज अ प्रोफेसर. आणि त्याच्यानंतर देन दे मूव टू औरंगाबाद. So all my life, early life was in Aurangabad, right? That's where I grew up. That's where I went to school, high school, junior college. That's where I did my engineering. So I went to Government Engineering College, Aurangabad, right? आणि सो आता तुमच्या भाषेत बोलायचं झालं आपल्या सगळ्यांची असतं, मी गावाकडचा माणूस आहे. ओके, मी गावाकडचा माणूस आहे. गावाकडे शेती पण आहे आपल्याकडे, अजूनही आहे, राईट. आणि माझे अजूनही कझिन्स वगैरे शेती करतात. ओके. आणि त्या इन्व्हायरमेंटमध्ये आम्ही जेव्हा बघायचो औरंगाबादमध्ये, आपले मुंबईचे वगैरे लोक यायचे आणि एकदम हायफंडा जीन्स बिन्स घालून, त्या त्या काळची गोष्ट सांगतो, राईट. आणि त्यांना इंग्लिश फार भारी येणार, राईट. आणि आपण असे, आपल्याला 11वीला गेल्यानंतर इंग्लिश मिडियम चालू झालं म्हणल्यावर बराच प्रॉब्लेम व्हायचा, राईट. सो इट वॉज डिफिकल्ट, राईट. इट वॉज व्हेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कॉम्प्रिहेंड की तुम्ही स्वतः या लोकांच्या समोर कुठे टिकू शकणार का नाही. ओके. आणि आता जर फास्ट फॉरवर्ड बघितलं तर लॉट ऑफ दोज पीपल आय डोंट इवन नो व्हॉट दे आर डुईंग, राईट. सो इफ यू ॲक्च्युअली कंटिन्यू टू लर्न and make sure you have deliberate practice, you can do whatever you want. आता जे इंट्रोडक्शन करत होते, they were very gracious about the introduction, so thank you for that. Very very gracious. तर I have spoken now in different places where thousands of people are actually listening. I've spoken to Chief Learning Officer Summit. आय हॅव स्पोकन टू BA वर्ल्ड. चायनामध्ये जेव्हा होतो मी, बेजिंगमध्ये आणि शांघायमध्ये, 5,000 पीपल वर लिसनिंग, राईट. सो स्पीचेस आर व्हेरी रुटीन नाव, अँड आय डू दॅट, अँड आय डू दॅट कॉन्फिडेंटली. बट देर वॉज अ टाइम वेन आय वॉज रिअली बॅड ॲट इट अगेन, right? So you need to have a mindset. You need to start getting uncomfortable, right? Then you need to have a coach, and you need to do deliberate practice, right? And that ultimately gets you there, right? So I went to Government Engineering College, Aurangabad. Up and downs मध्ये I was a ATKT student for first 2 years. Okay. I had some personal tragedy, where my brother expired. So there were a couple of years I could not recover from that. Before that, I was a merit student all along, right? So I could not recover. Then last 2 years, the trajectory was completely different. So again, failures you have to embrace, and then you have to climb up from there, right? And you have to have a mindset. आणि तेव्हा तर मला अक्कलही नव्हती, तिने आताही काही फारशी नाहीये, पण तेव्हा तर बिलकुलच नव्हती. ओके. की हा माइंडसेट असायला लागतो. सो वन डे आय गॉट अप अँड आय भालचंद्र नेमाडे म्हणून एक मोठे लेखक आहेत मराठीमध्ये. ओके. त्यांचं पुस्तक वाचलं मी, आणि त्याच्यामध्ये तो एक जो मेन पात्र त्याचं असतं ते सांगतं. ते म्हणतं की त्याला हॉस्पिटलमध्ये नेलं जातं, खूप सिगरेट वगैरे पितो. मी नव्हतो पित, मी पित नव्हतो काही. ओके. आणि त्याला प्रॉब्लेम होतो, राईट. आणि तो ऑलमोस्ट आता जाणार त्या दारापर्यंत जाऊन परत येतो, राईट. की याला मोठा प्रॉब्लेम होणार. आणि मग तो म्हणतो की अरे आपण तसंही आजच्या आज मरणार नाहीये. त्याला पण अशी निराशा आलेली असते आयुष्यामध्ये. आपण आजच्या आज मरणार नाहीये, आपण जगणार आहे. आपण जर जगणार आहे तर जोमाने जगलं पाहिजे. आपण जर जगणार आहे तर जोमाने जगलं पाहिजे. आपण फाईट मारली पाहिजे. ओके. आणि दॅट स्टक विथ मी, राईट. दॅट स्टक विथ मी. अँड देन माइंडसेट वॉज कम्प्लिटली डिफरंट. देन आय सेड आता मला फर्स्ट यायचं युनिव्हर्सिटीमध्ये. इमॅजिन एटीकेटी स्टुडंट, आणि त्याचे 5 सब्जेक्ट राहिलेले आधीच्या वर्षीचे, आणि तो म्हणतो आता स्वतःलाच की मी आता पहिलं यायचं. तर त्या एका वर्षात मी सेकंड इयरला मी 10 सब्जेक्ट काढले, 5च्या ऐवजी 10 काढले एका सेमिस्टरमध्ये. ओके. आणि 51 मार्क मिळाले प्रत्येक सब्जेक्टमध्ये. सो अगेन दिस इज वेअर द माइंडसेट कम्स इन टू प्ले. सो आय सेड ओके, मी जर 10 सब्जेक्टमध्ये मी 40-50 मिळू शकतो, तर मला तर इथून पुढे 5च करायचे आहेत. तर मला 80 पडले पाहिजे, 80-90 पडले पाहिजे मला आता, राईट. कारण मी तेवढं करून दाखवलेलं आहे. अँड देन द नेक्स्ट इयर आय वॉज इन टॉप 10 थर्ड इयरला, आणि लास्ट इयरला आय वॉज युनिव्हर्सिटी फर्स्ट. ओके. म्हणजे आता तिथं मी लकी लकी ठरलो थोडासा, पण आय वॉज युनिव्हर्सिटी फर्स्ट, राईट. सो द माइंडसेट इज व्हेरी व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट. देन डेलिबरेट प्रॅक्टिस, की देन एव्हरी डे यू गेट अप अँड दॅट्स व्हॉट यू वॉन्ट टू बी, राईट. आय वॉन्ट टू बी देअर. So anyway, then I went to, I did some job in Aurangabad in Maharashtra. It was comfortable. My parents were there. त्यांचं घर होतं तिथे. आणि सगळं कम्फर्टेबल आहे, सॅलरी मिळते, सगळं मिळतं. काय इकडे तिकडे वळवळ करायची काय गरज आहे, पण वळवळ असली पाहिजे. So another important lesson I'll tell you is you have to become uncomfortable. Only way you learn and grow in life is become uncomfortable. Keep that in mind, right? You have to become uncomfortable. So I used to go to Pune, Mumbai, try to look for job because I didn't want to work in MIS. I wanted to work in real software companies, right? फायनली IIT मुंबईमध्ये मला जॉब मिळाला, रिसर्च असिस्टंट. लोक काही मित्र मला हसले, म्हणले अरे इथं 2400 रुपये मिळतात, तिथं पण 2400 रुपये मिळतात, आणि इथं तुझं घर आहे, सगळे पैसे बँकेत जातील तुझे. तर मी म्हटलं नाही नाही, पण मी शिकणार जास्त तिथं. ओके, मला ते पैशाची काही अडलं नाही. ओके, सो अगेन द ग्रोथ माइंडसेट, व्हॉट आय सेड इज ग्रोथ माइंडसेट. सो देर आर टू वेज टू थिंक अबाउट इट. वन वे इज आय गॉट दिस, and second is I'm going to be 10x better. 10x means 10 times better. I got this and I'm going to be 10x better. So when you say I got this, basically तुमची ग्रोथ स्टॉप झाली. की आय बिकम फर्स्ट, आय गॉट द जॉब, आय गॉट दिस, माझं लाईफ सेट आहे, माझं घर आहे तिथं औरंगाबादमध्ये, सगळं ठीक आहे. आणि आता मी इथंच जर राहिलो तर मॅनेजर होईल कधीतरी, नंतर ग्रो होत राहील, राईट. आय गॉट आउट दॅट 1 year in IIT Bombay completely changed my life. Then I went to TCS, राईट. TCSला मी माझ्यासारखा मुलगा औरंगाबादमधून आलेला पास झालाच नसता त्यांच्या एंट्रन्स एक्झाममध्ये. पण IIT मध्ये गेल्यानंतर त्या मुलांचं बघून सगळे बाकीचे एकदम स्मार्ट लोक होते, ते सगळे GREची तयारी करत होते. मी पण GREची तयारी करायला लागलो. तर मग ते अनालिटिकल मॅथ सगळं ते यायला लागलं फटाफट. TCSच्या टेस्टमध्ये गेलं तर तेच होतं, फटकन पास झालं. The hardest part was that for us, from people coming from small town, right? And then rest was easy because then you work hard, right? And you get there. Then ultimately, I came to US in 93, right? I came to US, and it was kind of a recessionary period. People were coming out of recession, right? So we had to do two jobs, to just kind of meet things up. So again, none of this is extraordinary. Tens of thousands of people have done it in their life, right? What I did. पण याच्यातनं मुलांना जर काही गोष्टी घेता आल्या तर आय थिंक त्या आवश्यक आहे. सो द थिंग दॅट वॉज इम्पॉर्टंट वॉज मेकिंग माय सेल्फ अनकम्फर्टेबल, सेईंग आता औरंगाबादमध्ये नाही राहायचं. ओके, आणि याचा अर्थ औरंगाबादचं प्रेम नाही असं नाहीये. अदर दॅन सिलिकॉन व्हॅली अँड कुपर्टिनो, दॅट इज द अदर प्लेस वेअर I have spent most of my time and I have the affinity, right? Uh, okay. Then I came to US. I was an engineer. I was good. I worked for Sun Microsystems. Basically, while working for Sun Microsystems, I was actually one of the first, probably few hundred Java developers in the world. कारण जेव्हा मी आलो तेव्हा सन मायक्रोसिस्टमनी नवीन काढलं ते जावा लँग्वेज. सो वी वर दी रिअली रिअली अर्ली अडॅप्टर्स, राईट. देन आय बिल्ट सम टेस्ट मॅनेजमेंट सिस्टीम फॉर देम, गॉट 4 patents अप्रूव्ड ऑन दॅट, राईट. आणि ते करता करता देन आय रिअलाइज आय वॉज ॲट अ कंपनी कॉल्ड डिजिटल टूल्स. इंडियन कंपनी होती, महाराष्ट्रीयन कंपनी. अगेन आय एम थँकफुल टू दोज गाईज, विनय देशपांडे अँड मोहन उत्तरवार, मराठी लोक आहेत. आणि ते कंपनीमध्ये आय वॉज वॉचिंग हाऊ दे आर डुईंग, अँड व्हॉट आय रिअलाइज इज, अरे these people are actually bringing people from India or taking project and executing those projects in India, and I could probably do it, right? This was back in the day when I was in late 20s, right? So I got my green card and I started a company called InfoLead. And that time.
तर आपण म्यूट झालात,
Mute झाला.
प्लीज अनम्यूट करा सर प्लीज.
Okay, can you hear me still?
Yes,
I
we
don't
can.
know.
Yes.
Okay. So then I started a company called InfoLead. I was late 20s. I saw how the company I was working for operated. So I understood what they are doing. And people were like crazy. काय करतात माहिती नाही, right? Late 20s kid, what is he trying to do? And within 2 years, we grew from $0 to $5 million revenue, right? More than $1 million profit back in the days, right? So it was great learning experience to actually start something on your own. Now, success, जो काय moderate success आहे, तो व्हॅक्यूम मधनं येत नाही. You have to, one, get comfortable. That means take risk. You have to get comfortable, number one. You have to be comfortable to taking that risk. Then you have to associate yourself with a lot of coaches, right? And again, why would somebody coach you? They see your passion. They see your reach out. They see your follow up, right? So if I go back to Ganu sir and say, तुम्ही मला असं म्हणले होते आणि मी त्याच्यावर आता काम केलं, हे बघा आता अजून तुमचा पुढचा काय फीडबॅक आहे. तर देन ही नोज वॉट एव्हर ही टॉक्स ही गेट्स इट डन, राईट? देन द कोच इज मोर इन्व्हेस्टेड इन यू. सो यू गो विथ द प्रोग्रेस दॅट सर तुम्ही मला हा फीडबॅक दिला होता, मॅडम तुम्ही मला हा फीडबॅक दिला होता आणि मी त्याच्यावर हे काम केलंय आणि मी ते घेऊन आलोय तुमचा फीडबॅक घ्यायला. असं जर तुम्ही केलं, तुम्ही लाईफ लॉंग कोचेस बनवणार, हे लक्षात ठेवा. दॅट इज हाऊ यू गेट दिस कोचेस, राईट? सो बिपिन शाह म्हणून होते, टाय सिलिकॉन फॉर्म झाली होती तेव्हा, सुहास पाटील प्रेसिडेंट होते आणि बिपिन शाह वॉज वन ऑफ द 10 बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स, फर्स्ट बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स हु डिसाइडेड टू स्टार्ट टाय, राईट? आणि टाय स्टार्ट झाली आणि बिपिन शाह बिकम माय मेंटर. अजूनही आहेत ते. रिलेशनशिप लाईफ लॉंग असतात. तुम्हाला यू हॅव टू गिव्ह बॅक ऑल्सो, यू हॅव टू मेक शुअर, if there is a small help you can do, you can always give back, right? So again, key here is get uncomfortable, find right coaches and keep moving forward. And I'll share my slides, right? Then one thing I found is venture capitalists म्हणायला लागले की अरे हे 20-25-28 वर्षाचं पोरग आहे आणि यांनी कधी 50 मिलियन 100 मिलियनचा रेव्हेन्यू कधी रन नाही केलेला. तर हसल इज ग्रेट बट याला एक्सपिरियन्स नाहीये, याला अजिबात एक्सपिरियन्स नाहीये. सो आय हर्ड दॅट फीडबॅक. वी गॉट सम स्मॉल एक्झिट and I said, okay, I'm going to go back to corporate now, right? And I'm going to actually get uncomfortable, and I'm going to manage 50 million, 100 million businesses. Okay. So then I went to Vitria, I went to BEA. I grew their fastest product, Aqualogic Service Bus, from 25 to 50 million dollar in one single year, right? Then it got acquired by Oracle. तर बीए मध्ये असताना मला एक लक्षात आलं की आमच्याकडे माझी एक पियर होती, गोरीबाई होती, आणि ती फटाफट ग्रो झाली आणि आय वॉज लाईक अरे आय एम डुईंग एव्हरीथिंग, आणि नथिंग रॉंग. I love her and she's great. I'm doing everything that she's doing and maybe more, and I'm not growing. That was my first realization की माझ्या स्किनचा जो कलर आहे तो मॅटर करतोय थोडासा. आणि दुसरं पण मी म्हटलं लेट्स लुक बियॉन्ड दॅट, बिकॉज इट्स ओके, इट्स इझी टू प्ले विक्टिम. It's easy to play victim. Instead of playing victim, let me look deeper. And then I look deeper, and she was a Stanford MBA, and our CMO was Stanford MBA. So they had a connection, they had an understanding, right? And that's why she grew very fast, right? And of course, she was good. Don't get me wrong, she was good. So then I realized, to erase the color of my skin in America, I had to be in this elite category somewhere. Right? And so I decided to go to a top business school, right? And then executive MBA, Kellogg was number one, right? Always number one. So I got Kellogg, I got Michigan, I got Chicago, University of Chicago. I got all 3 out of top 4 at that time. I went to Kellogg because the culture was collaborative. People always wanted to help each other, right? So that was the decision, deliberate decision to go. Every 2 weeks, I would fly Thursday night, go to Chicago, in the midst of playing a role of a director at a company, right, a public company, right, learn on Saturday, Sunday, fly back, and I would have work travel as well, right? But I had a phenomenal time. The amount of growth I had in those 2 years, and the level of relationship you build in that period was phenomenal, right? And that changed my trajectory completely different. So again, that is one thing about having the mindset that I want to grow. Again, mindset मध्ये कसं असतं की most of my friends, I told them, look, this is what I'm going to do, guys. You can do it too. Go to a great MBA and your career will be different, right? And most of them are looking at 150,000, 200,000 price tag for the school, and they're like, अरे खूप पैसे आहेत. So mindset काय डिफरंट आहे त्याच्यामध्ये? माइंडसेट आहे की हा एक्सपेन्स आहे का ही इन्व्हेस्टमेंट आहे? Is this expense or is this investment? In my mind, I had no doubt. This is an investment. I was slam dunk. It was like, कारण मी मास्टरचा पोरगा आहे. Okay, my dad was a professor, principal. So educationचं काही प्रॉब्लेम नव्हतं मला माहित होतं की याच्यामध्ये बिलकुल this is the investment. And that paid off tremendously, right? Then I become general manager at Saba, where I was managing $100 million business, right? After Kellogg. In the midst of recession, where people were not getting job, I had 3 offers. So Kellogg already paid off, right? More than paid off. त्याच्यानंतर अजून एक अनकम्फर्टेबल व्हायची गोष्ट आली ती म्हणजे आय वॉज डुईंग मोस्टली मार्केटिंग फॉर लास्ट 10, 12, 15 years, राईट? आणि वन ऑफ माय कलिग फ्रॉम साबा वेंट टू ट्रायनेट आणि तो म्हणला अरे तुला यावं लागेल इकडे. I need somebody like you. This is very important. And the role was different. It was product strategy. And I had worked close to that role, but I never did that role myself. And you are going to lead product strategy. And TriNet was $2 billion. $2 billion. So, आता तिथं वासरत लंगडी गाय शहाणी म्हणून मला जायचं होतं, राईट? सो आय वॉज क्लिअरली अनकम्फर्टेबल की अरे मी तर मार्केटिंगमध्ये करतोय आणि आता मला प्रॉडक्ट स्ट्रॅटेजी करायचं आहे आणि मला माहिती होतं बऱ्यापैकी, पण तरी आता मला जाऊन लीड करायचं ते. अँड देन आय रिअलाइज आय एम गोना लर्न अ लॉट. So I took that chance. Financially also it was great because we later on we went IPO, right? So we had a very good outcome. And actually without that product strategy experience, I would not have been able to start startup vendor market engine because otherwise I needed always another person who can play products role. Here I did it myself. So I have done everything by that time, right? So again, continue to shift your careers. Don't be very single threaded, right? Continue to shift your career. So these are some of the things I told you, how becoming uncomfortable and then finding the right coaches. So along the way, continuous learning. For example, I signed up for pragmatic marketing courses, right? Again, investment of time, money. In the pandemic, I did one course in digital marketing, right? This was 4, 5 years ago. Online Kellogg's course hota. Professor Mohan Sani, who sits on the board of Reliance, who is also on my advisory board, right? त्यांचा कोर्स होता आणि त्याचा कसा फायदा होतो आज मला लोक डिजिटल मार्केटिंगचा एक्सपर्ट समजतात. ओके, सो अगेन यू हॅव टू कंटिन्युअसली लर्न सो दॅट यू कॅन ऍक्च्युअली अप्लाय, अँड फॉर दॅट they call it you have to have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset, right? So these are some of the things I wanted to share as a life journey, more than what I accomplished, because I don't think I accomplished much. There is a lot to be done, right? But more about how your choices and how your mindset, right? And how you make yourself uncomfortable, and how you learn and try to learn from the best, and how you associate yourself with coaches can get you to get better and better and better. That's the point I want to drive across here. Are we good so far?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through a few slides, if that's okay. If anybody wants to chime in from Garja Marathi, Padadikari ahet, please feel free before I get there.
Perfect, sir. Please go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me share, and I will be a little bit swift here. And I want to first thank to Professor Craig Wartman from Kellogg Northwestern, who gives inspirational speeches on this topic, right? He has books published and so forth. And I'm going to make this in a presentable format a little bit. Can you see it properly? Yeah, it's getting good at getting great, right? And again, the concepts are from Professor Craig Wartman. I want to give full credit to him, right? Just keep going. So again, 180 days. Sometimes it looks like a gimmick, right? Ki are kaitri aplyala veda banavtat. 180 days. You can be great at anything in 180 days. That's sort of what the premise is, right? So how do we get there, right? It's one thing to say you can be great. How do you get there? There is a process. So again, you have to have that mindset. I kept talking about mindset, growth mindset. You have to set goals, and the goals need most of the people don't have goals. So तुला कुठे जायचं जर माहिती नाहीये तर तू हैदराबादात असशील का औरंगाबादात असशील ते पण तुला माहिती नाही. Okay, so you have to have goals. Then you need knowledge, skill, and discipline, right? I talked about this. Knowledge you can continue to learn, right? That learning and growth mindset. You have to then have skills to pull right knowledge out, and you have to have discipline, right? Then the next deliberate practice is the next key element. I'll give examples of taxi cab drivers and race car drivers, right? What is the big difference? Because the skill level is completely different, and both are driving forever. Both are driving for like 10, 20 years, right? So the skill level is completely different. And then, of course, what choices you make, right? What choices you make when you do that. So let me go to the next slide. So this is Anders Ericsson, right? Anders Ericsson. Not all practices makes perfect. You need a particular type of practice, deliberate practice to develop expertise. So we will, again, importance of deliberate practice. And I'll continue to harp on this. So let's talk about mindset, right? Let's talk about mindset. So the key point is really, when you say, I got this, that means मला आता जमलं आता हे काम, येतंय मला. That means you're going to actually get stagnated, right? You have to say, I got some skills now, but I can get 10 times better. I can get 10 times better. That mindset is critical. That mindset is critical, right? So the mindset shifts from abstract goal. Abstract म्हणजे हाय लेवल. त्याच्यात कॉन्क्रीट काही नाही. कधी होणार, काय मेजर करणार, कसं मेजर करणार ते गोल, हे काय माहिती नाही. To concrete goal where everything is measurable, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Again, instead of just trying harder, trying something differently, because trying harder doesn't always work. Right? Instead of one manager, you surround yourself with many coaches, and Garja Marathi Global actually gives you opportunity, connecting you to so many people across the world. You can find people. Most people don't ask. Most people don't ask. That's the problem, right? And of course, the mindset. So let's keep going. Again, knowledge, skills, and discipline. Knowledge is the bedrock, right? Someone may have knowledge about digital marketing, which is like me, but giving a presentation is a skill. Right? And that needs to be developed. What pieces I'm going to put together to actually deliver a presentation. And in the presentation, what to say, what not to say also, becomes important. So that's the discipline, right? So knowledge is the concept, the formula, the rule, the processes, definitions, recipes, and framework. That's the bedrock. You need that. You need to continuously learning, especially the younger generation. You will change not just job, you will change careers many times in your life. Right? And so you have to continuously learn. AI keeps changing the landscape. So a lot of jobs will be relevant, a lot of jobs will be irrelevant, right? And so the continuous learning is critical, but then you need skills to perform that task, right? So giving a skill, giving a presentation, automating a process, because you know the process, but being able to automate that completely end to end is a skill. Perform a procedure if you are a surgeon, not knowing everything that is needed for the surgery, but being able to actually perform that process or conduct a sales meeting. All of these are skills, right? All of these are skills. And then the discipline or choices, because we are defined by our choices, right? The ability to choose the right knowledge nugget without, while performing a skillful task becomes very, very important, right? Becomes very, very important. Even a surgeon, when he or she is doing the surgery, what type of procedure or what type of tweak they need to do based upon the situation, that choice they are making for you, right? And so that becomes very, very important. Now, if somebody puts a gun to my head and says, okay, there are so many choices, you have to pick only one, right? Always ask yourself this question when you have, everything is great, I can be everything. Just ask yourself, कोणीतरी तुमच्या डोक्याला बंदूक लावली आणि म्हणलं की तुला फक्त एकच चॉईस करता येईल, कुठला घेणार तू? Because that is when you will pick the most important choice. That is when you will pick the most important choice, right? So the other way, Craig has this. Craig says, if you could have more of just one. So माझ्याकडे 4-5 choices आहेत. If you could have more of just one, which one you would pick? For example, माझ्याकडे 2 product आहेत आता. माझ्याकडे मार्केट इंजिन आहे, माझ्याकडे स्टार्टअप विंड आहे, right? I could continue to spread my energy on both, or gun to the head question. If I could have more of just one, what would that be? And the answer is market engine, right? So the focus has to be on market engine. So you will end up making that choice and the right choice when you actually answer that choice question. Now, I'm going to give a quick 1 minute to everybody. And in this sentence, count the number of F's. And आपले जे पदाधिकारी आहेत 1 minute झाल्यावर सांगा please. Okay. Count the number of F's. That's the assignment. So you can start telling how many F's you got. एक दोघांनी सांगा कोणीतरी, 1-2 लोकांनी.
तीन
सहा
तीन
आहेत
एफ आले.
सहा.
हा, देर इज नो रॉंग आन्सर और राईट आन्सर. ओके, प्रसादनी 6 म्हणले, यु नो पुंडेकर सर 3 म्हणले, आणि असे भरपूर उत्तर येतात. नन ऑफ देम आर रॉंग. 3 इज व्हेरी कॉमन आन्सर टू बिगिन विथ. ओके, आय टेल यू व्हॉट हॅपन्स, राईट. व्हॉट हॅपन्स इज, तर ऍक्च्युली 6 आहेत. सो whosoever, what happens is we auto switch our behavior to default behavior, which is reading, instead of following direction. आपण रीडिंग करायला लागतो, right, instead of just going and looking at F's. Okay, and so again, being able to being coachable becomes very, very important. What is the coach telling you? Coach is telling you to just find the F, not read, not try to make sense of whatever is written, right? Just go and find the F's. So again, this is an example of, having coaches can actually really get you to the next level. I'm going to give you a couple of other examples. So taxi drivers, I mean, they drive for years and 8-10 hours every single day. किती experience आहे त्या लोकांना? They have tremendous experience, right? They should be the best driver. And how many times we have sat in a taxi and we have, or Uber, and we have cringed की अरे नीट चालवत नाहीये, कशी चालवतोय हा, right? Why does that happen? And the research says that you are actually worse driver in your 50s than you are in 20s, which is very counterintuitive, because we get that I got this syndrome. We don't have the growth mindset anymore. I got this syndrome, right? And on the other hand, if you go to race car driver, they are continuously trying to be 10x better. Okay, so that's the difference, right? So basically, on one axis you have skill, on other axis you have time, right? And this is your automatic experience. Naturally, je hota, right? This graph is automatic experience. Okay, can you actually, do you get better? You don't, right? This is your automatic experience. But the race car driver are deliberately practicing. There is an inch difference between another car going at 250 miles an hour and a small contact is actually a really big contact, right? And it's a life and death situation, right? It's a life and death situation. So with deliberate practice, your skills can actually get completely different level. Keep that in mind, right? That's why I keep harping about deliberate practice, right? Same thing. Now, people ask the question, how about surgeons? Unless a surgeon is continuously learning about newer ways of doing procedures, they actually say, एक 5-10 वर्ष experience ज्याला आहे, that is actually a better surgeon than somebody who has 30 or 40 years of experience, right? Which is, again, very, very counterintuitive, right? So again, getting 10x better, right? Getting 10x better. So the goal has to be, you have to first set the goals. Now, how can I be 10x better? Simple thing. आपण मीटिंग कंडक्ट करतो. If you get better 1% every single day, at the end of the year, you'll be 37% better. Again, deliberately apply. So when I go to my sales meeting, I have this knowledge, skill, discipline. I have 3 questions written. Purpose, benefit checks. I have written. It's a practice, deliberate practice, so that you stay disciplined, right? Less than 7% people who set goals come anywhere close to meeting it. And just the goal set karat nahi. Forget about them, right? Okay, now this is actually a very interesting experience, right? Autistic kids. So let me go to previous slide. Okay, so if you, those who understand music, perfect pitch is very, very, very rare. 0.1%, 1 in 10,000 people actually have perfect pitch, right? They can understand that music perfectly. And so they took in Japan, hundreds of autistic kids, and they went through this experiment day after day, and coaching along with that, giving feedback to the kids and coaching, and giving feedback to the kids and coaching. And 6 months went by, and they did the test again.
Sir, mute आहात तुम्ही. Sir, you are muted.
नरेन म्यूट झाला.
Yeah, I don't know what is happening with my Zoom. My apologies. So again, going back here, 0.1% people usually have perfect pitch. At the end of that 6 months, when these kids kept practicing and they had coaches, right? Tell me an answer, one or two people. What percentage of kids would have gotten perfect pitch? Anybody? 0.1% वरनं कुठपर्यंत गेला असेल हे? Anybody? One answer.
Should have remained around that. It's tough to increase that.
Yeah. Anybody else? Just one more person, and then
Sir, 100%.
that's the right answer. 100% kids. 100% kid got perfect pitch. Again, this is an example of if you actually have the right mindset, if you have the goal, and if you do deliberate practice, and if your coach is telling you what you can do differently, you can actually get better at anything. And that's why when I said that, that was not a gigantic statement, right? You can actually get better at anything. So deliberate practice, what are 5 things you can do to make it true? Have a very specific goal and a plan and a way to measure the goal. I'll talk about SMART goals in a minute, right? Then willingness to get out of comfort zone. Willingness to get out of comfort zone. And then a drive to try differently, not just try harder. For a while, you have to try harder, but at one point, it doesn't work. You have to try something differently, right? You also have to have a coach who actually can give you feedback, and then continuous feedback and applying it, continuous feedback and applying it. And that's how you get there, right? SMART goals, everybody knows small goals, but Craig has 3 more things added. SMART means specific, measurable. Measurable means I'm going to go from 0 to $1 million revenue in what time? 12 months, right? That's where the time bound, right? Achievable, realistic. That's SMART. But he has added 3 more things. TSS, tool, supported, and basically what I can stop, right? So tool means, for example, I may need a calendar, I may need a course, I may need an alarm to get up in the morning, if that's my goal, to go and do exercise in the morning, right? Depending upon whatever the goal is, I may need a tool, right? A tool could be a course also. Then supported, though, I need coaches, accountability coaches. What did you do this week? Did you every single day, did you do those 7,000 steps? And I have a friend who actually will ask me that question. Did you do that? And why didn't you do that? And how are you going to get back to it? Right? And then the next thing is, what are you going to stop doing? Because you can find then time for this goal, for that deliberate practice. Because otherwise, you will never have time, right? You have to stop doing few things that you already are doing and then start doing new things, right? So again, this is the framework. I'm going to skip this, right? Again, the difference here is you go from, outcome focused to process focused, right? Outcome focused to process. Because outcome is, okay, I want to reduce 30 pounds by end of the year. Or I want to, grow the revenue from $1 million now to $3 million, whatever. That's outcome. Great. You need to have specific goals. But how am I going to get there? That process, right, is important. Just a grand goal won't do it. You need a process to get there, right? You need a process to get there. And again, I talked about getting out of comfort zone. This is the comfort zone. We're all hunky-dory. सगळं ठीक चाललंय, राईट? आता कशाला तक पाहिजे जीवाला? आणि त्याच्यानंतर लर्निंग झोन म्हणजे you start getting uncomfortable. And then the panic zone means somebody tells you such an outrageous goal that you are not able to function. राईट? उद्या गाणू सर आले आणि म्हणले, आता तू असं कर, मार्केट इंजिनला $1 million झालेले आहेत, तू आता यावर्षी त्याला 25 million करून टाक. तो पॅनिक झोन झाला. कारण दॅट इज नॉट पॉसिबल ॲट ऑल. राईट? दॅट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. बट इफ यू से नाही, तू जरा अम्बिशियस राहिलं पाहिजे, 4-5 million कर, आता चांगलं ग्रोथ कर. That is learning zone, right? So if you get to panic zone, dial it down a little bit. If you are here, dial it up a little bit, right? But get in the learning zone, because that is what will get you out of the comfort zone. Okay, I'll just keep going, right? And then have the best watch you. So again, reach out to people, ask for coaching. People will give you time once. People will give. If you ask, they will. Right? And then you have to make it worth their time so that they will give you time again, right? You have to also go back and think about what value I'm going to give them, even though you may be very junior compared to them, right? Again, your value could be your passion and something you're doing which is inspiring, right? And they want to help you at that point. Now, another story of Steve, average intelligence athlete. He used to run marathon, right? Average intelligence athlete. So they took him in an experiment, and they started showing him numbers. And then they said, okay, we show you numbers. Now you are going to recite and tell the numbers back. So then he would go 03264. पहिल्यांदा झालं. दुसऱ्यांदा 032644344. So the number of numbers he is able to recall that they showed kept increasing, kept increasing, kept increasing, kept increasing just by memorizing. He went all the way up to 49 numbers. He could repeat back, right? And then he got stuck. So whatever he was doing was not anymore working, right? Not anymore working. So he had to change. So he did that change. What was change? He runs marathon, so he knows that, and he runs on a same route. So he has some milestones की अरे हे झाड आलं की माझे 2 मैल झाले. पुढचं ते पाण्याचा झरा आला की माझे 5 मैल झाले. असे माइलस्टोन त्याच्या डोक्यामध्ये होते. ते टेक्निक त्यांनी इथं अप्लाय करायला सुरुवात केली. ते टेक्निक, नवीन टेक्निक त्यांनी अप्लाय करायला सुरुवात केली. अँड आफ्टर अप्लाइंग दॅट न्यू टेक्निक ही ऍक्च्युअली गॉट टू 81 numbers memorizing back. Actually, the story is not over. Story is not over. And people are giving him feedback, continuously, and he's continuously and deliberately practicing. Then what happened is another person came in, right? Another person came in. And his name is Dario. Similar athlete, average intelligence. And Dario could do more than 100. 120 actually. 121. Why? Because Dario has a coach now. Steve. Steve has already gone through this, right? So Steve is expediting Dario's learning and providing quality feedback, right? So again, surround yourself with the coach who can give you that feedback. Okay. Continuous feedback and deliberate practice is critical. I'm going to continue to skip this. So I'll give you a technique of feedback. People can do it. 2 students can do it within themselves. 2 human beings can do it within themselves. Some of my colleagues, even my friends, would do it. And it's very simple. We call it 2x2 feedback. 2x2 feedback. And the way to do that is, the first 2 you do first. So let's say Anand Garu sir आहेत. त्यांना मी विचारेल, सर आपण आजचं आपलं बोलणं झालं, लेट्स डू 2x2. तर ते म्हणतील, नरेंद्र तू ही एक गोष्ट चांगली केली आज, एकच गोष्ट. ही नॉट गोना टेल मी 10 डिफरंट थिंग, 1 थिंग दॅट मॅटर्स, राईट? आणि मी म्हणेल ओके थँक्यू सर, and then I'll come back and say I also think I did this 1 thing differently. Again, I'm not going to tell 10 things, 1 thing, right? Only 2 things. So the first 2 builds confidence. Because I know what I did well from a coach's perspective and my perspective, I'm going to reinforce that and keep doing that. That builds confidence. The second 2, so इथं गानू सरांच्या ऐवजी मी स्वतः म्हणेल, कारण आधी क्रिटिकल स्वतःला करायचं असतं. ओके. सो आणि क्रिटिकल पण नाही त्याला म्हणत. त्याला काय म्हणतात? What can you do differently? Instead of saying you did bad, what can you do differently? So the first thing I would say is, Ganu sir, I could have watched my computer settings. मध्ये mute होत होतं, काहीतरी माझा प्रॉब्लेम झाला आज. I could have done that differently. So again, I'm telling 1 thing, right? And then he said, yeah, you are right, but there was also 1 more thing. And this is that 1 thing, and you could do that differently, right? And so the second 2 builds competence. It's very simple. 2 मिनिटात होतो 2x2 feedback. 2 मिनिटात. Okay. What you did well and what you can do differently. 2x2. आणि त्याच्यानंतर तुम्ही जो फीडबॅक येतो तो अप्लाय करा नेक्स्ट टाइम. कीप अप्लाइंग, डेलिबरेट प्रॅक्टिस, अँड यू विल गेट ग्रेट. आर यू गाइज विथ मी सो फार? Okay. So again, I want to keep some time for Q&A. Again, from the knowledge, skill, and discipline. Discipline is I wanted to keep at least 10 minutes for question and answer. So again, the mindset, the feedback from the coaches, and deliberate practice. If you do that, you can really great at anything you want, right? Anything you want. 180 days or not, but you can get great at anything you want, right? And that's one thing I want all of us to learn. I'm still learning, I'm still applying, right? And continue to kind of, make sure I have that growth mindset moving forward. So with that, I'm going to pause and open it up for any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद सर. शेवटी आपण जसा संदेश दिलात, राईज टू ग्रेटनेस, खरंच आपलं जो काही तुमचं मार्गदर्शन होतं ते खूप आम्हाला महत्वपूर्ण आणि प्रेरणादायी ठरलेला आहे. कारण आयुष्यात ग्रोथ माइंडसेट किती इम्पॉर्टंट आहे हे तुम्ही पटवून दिलंय आज सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांना. तर या संबंधात कुठल्या विद्यार्थ्यांना जर काही प्रश्न असतील तर त्यांनी हँड रेज करावा.
सर प्रश्न नाहीये, पण तुमचे कॉन्टॅक्ट डिटेल्स जर तुम्हाला शेअर करता आले तर करू शकता.
येस येस येस, आय विल
ह्याच्यात टाकले जर चॅट मध्ये टाकले तर.
या या आणि
येस
I will
सर. नेक्स्ट
आणि सगळ्यांना रिक्वेस्ट आहे.
नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आहे सर. हा, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आहे इशिता अग्रवाल.
या या
Good evening, sir. Sir, I just wanted to know how to digest failures.
how to digest failures. The number one thing is there are going to be lows, there are going to be highs, and keep in mind that it's a very temporary phenomenon, right? What happened today, and this happened every single day. Honestly, especially if you're an entrepreneur, this happens every single day. The highs are really highs, and the lows are really lows, right? A couple of days ago, in a late afternoon, I had like a gut punch and felt really horrible. And I knew only one thing: just go back and do what you do and keep doing it. And within 2 hours, lots of good news starts coming. I mean, it may not happen in 2 hours or 3 hours every time. My point is, remember that it's a temporary phenomenon. Whatever setback, whatever failure you have is a temporary phenomenon. Number one. Number two, you go back and reflect. Again, it's a feedback mechanism, self-feedback, as well as maybe a friend or whosoever you trust, right? Or a coach. And what you could have done differently, right? What you could have done differently. Because simply feeling bad about failure is not going to get you anywhere, right? Actually reflecting about what you can do differently and what you really want to do, right? Did you get comfortable? Maybe you got comfortable, right? That happens to all of us. We're all human. Then how can I have that growth mindset? What is my 10x goal? Right? Thinking through all of this. And again, one thing that you have to keep in mind is it's a temporary phenomenon. Tomorrow is a new day. Sun is going to rise. It's going to be beautiful, right? As long as you continually work on it, you surround yourself with right coaches, right people, and so forth. Great question, by the way. Yeah.
येस, थँक्यू सो मच सर.
Yeah.
आज इशिताच्या माध्यमातून असाच प्रश्न बऱ्याच विद्यार्थ्यांना असू शकतो, तर आपलं उत्तर हे सर्वांना खूप प्रेरणादायी ठरू शकेल. त्यानंतर पुढील प्रश्न आहे पूर्वा वानखेडे.
Yeah.
Firstly, the lecture was completely great. There were so many insights actually. Moving towards my question is basically simple. All over the lecture, we were discussing about the coaches and the environment, which builds us actually and gives a lot more trajectory from others. So basically, the question is, how can we find the right set of coaches and right people?
I lost you. Can you repeat? I lost you. Or maybe you can type the question if that's okay, because you are breaking up. Yeah, you're breaking up.
Just a second.
While you're typing up, I think Fodnekar sir, तुम्ही
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes,
Sir, please.
you are audible. Purva, continue.
Yeah, that's
Repeat.
fine.
My question is basically simple. All the in the presentations we were talking about the right people, the right coaches, and the environment build us and gives us a various amount of trajectory from all others. So what can we do to get that particular good coaches and the good environment? So that
Unfortunately, you're breaking up. When you come to the question, you're breaking up. So type it in.
तिला टाइप करू दे. तिला टाइप करू दे. फोडणेकर सर, तुमचा प्रश्न कंप्लीट करा. तू टाइप कर.
टाइप कर.
Good evening, sir. It's a
good evening.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
In fact, how to present that also can be learned from you.
I actually did a pretty poor job. If you want my 2x2, and I'm saying very humbly, I actually have one of my colleague on the call. She's going to tell me the same thing. You could have been more prepared. That's but thank you.
Sir, our students are in the process of learning, that maybe in the academic segment, or perhaps very few are out of the academic segment. My question is, say, for example, whenever I have set a goal, मी काहीतरी ठरवलंय, मला काहीतरी
Sure.
करायचंय,
Sure.
पण हे करण्यामध्ये अनेक वेळा डिस्टॉर्शन्स येतात, डेव्हिएशन्स येतात,
Right.
and then I get deviated. So the path which I have selected takes longer time.
Sure.
Now, how to avoid these inhibitions? How to avoid these deviations? Can you please highlight something?
या दोन तीन गोष्टी त्याच्यामध्ये असतात. तुमचं जे गोल आहे ते तुम्ही जर प्रायव्हेटमध्येच ठेवलं स्वतःच्या मनामध्ये, ओके, तर likelihood of you not performing is going to be much higher. If you publicly tell a whole bunch of people, this is my goal, it actually now becomes a social responsibility in our
Yes.
mind, right?
Yes.
That's one. The more important, even more important stuff is accountability coach, right? So, for example, I have a colleague which we work together, and we would ask each other the question almost every week. What about this? You wanted to get better at this. Did we make any progress on this?
Yes.
Right? Or vice versa. So the accountability coach is very important. And sometimes it doesn't have to be somebody really accomplished. It could be somebody around you who knows enough about what you're doing, who knows enough about what you're doing, and is intelligent enough to give feedback. So that's why I said it could be your friend. In some process, I had my kid as my coach, right? My older one, he got funded his startup from Y Combinator, right? So suddenly now he has more experience in raising money than I have, right? And so you have to keep that aside. I may be better at him on 100 other things, but there are some things he knows better, right? So you can get help. A coach can be anybody. Keep that in mind, right? It doesn't have to be somebody really accomplished than you. And that accountability coaching. आणि मग त्याच्यानंतर if you deviate for a day or two, मग काय होतं की आपली मेंटॅलिटी आता गेला, आता जाऊ द्या. इट्स लाईक वेट लॉस, आता जाऊ दे, गेला. तसं नाही. द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज ओके, आय डेव्हिएटेड फॉर अ डे or two. हाऊ कॅन आय कम बॅक? How can I come back? Right? So those are three things. But accountability coach also will help you to come back.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
थँक्यू सो मच सर.
पूर्वानी क्वेश्चन टाकलाय का?
हो टाकला ती ना.
हो सर.
Okay. How can we get get a good set of coaches and the environment which would give you edge to our goal? Yeah, and these are very extrinsic factors for success. असं तिचं म्हणणं आहे. Right? So, and I expected fully this question because there are kids here, right? And they are like, okay, where are we going to find these coaches? One thing I mentioned in initial conversation is most people don't even ask. If you have specific cause, not just that मला तुम्हाला भेटायचंय, पर्पज काय, तुम्हाला काय त्याच्यातनं पाहिजे, काय हेल्प पाहिजे आणि किती वेळ पाहिजे, राईट? आणि तुम्ही रीच आउट केलं पाहिजे. So if you reach people out, some of them will respond. Not everybody is going to respond. They all have their life and they're busy, right? And some may respond a little bit later. That's okay. You have to cast a wide net. आता इथं आनंद गानू सरांनी तुम्हाला गर्जे मराठीचा एवढा मोठा फोरम एस्टॅब्लिश करून दिलेला आहे. When I go to a venture capital conference and I meet people for 2 minutes, most people don't follow up. I follow up same day or next day, saying nice meeting you at this conference, right? And I would like to have a conversation for 15 minutes about this topic and get your input on this topic. So it's very specific. It's like not anybody just saying, okay, I want to meet you. But why, right? What's the purpose? What you want? And then you realize that, okay, this person knows exactly what he or she wants, and I can actually be of help. And then you end up finding time, and then you give the time. Now, once you get the time, how to actually, that's a skill. I was giving a presentation, this was in late 20s, somewhere. And one guy in the audience, a white guy, came and he said, you should talk to Bob Bond. I don't know Bob Bond. I said, okay, I will talk to Bob Bond. Who is Bob Bond? He was a ex-CEO of Rational Software. So $400 million company. That day's big shot guy was on public company boards, right? He said, no, I know Bob. So I said, okay, will you introduce me? He said, yeah, I will. I took his card. The key is now follow up with him. So I followed up saying, hey, it was pleasure meeting you. Seems like, you were really into the topic I was talking about. And would you please introduce me to Bob? And I had to do 3 follow-ups, give some time, another follow-up, and then he introduces me to Bob. Bob meets me, gracious, meets me. And I go very clear, very prepared, saying, this is what I'm doing. This is your experience, Bob, right? And that's why you are in software testing tools and software tools. I'm trying to do a software testing tool company at the startup. Your experience could be very valuable. And then I explain him what I'm doing and how I'm doing. And in that, you tell specifically what help they can give. You also present your case such a way that you have the passion and the conviction, and that is actually magnetic. Keep that in mind. Bob may not have anything to do. त्याला माझ्याकडनं काहीच नको होतं, right? Totally unknown person. And then Bob said, okay, why don't you work on this and this and this? And I said, okay. The next question I asked him, is, okay, I'll do all this. I'll work on this, and I'll report the progress in 2 or 3 months. And would you be open to talk to me, right? And he said, yes. I worked. I reported the progress. Bob met me, and Bob became a lifelong friend. He finally came on my advisory board. So my point is, तुमच्या हातात गानू सर असे आणून टाकणार नाहीयेत, right? You will have to hustle. You will have to hustle and find those coaches, and coaches will help you. That's the answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
तर आपण गानू सर, आपण तुम्ही समारोप करावा, मला वाटतं. आभार आणि समारोप दोन्ही, प्लीज.
म्हणजे त्यांनी नमस्कार, अतिशय सुंदर प्रोग्राम झाला, याच्याविषयी काही वादच नाही. आय एम नॉट गोइंग टू वेस्ट टाइम ऑन दॅट. पण आपण सरांकडनं आज काय शिकलो त्याच्या आपण स्वतःनी एक छोटीशी नोट बनवली आणि ती शेअर केली. आपण ती सरांकडे पाठवू की बाबा दिस इज व्हॉट आय हॅव लर्न. हे आपण होमवर्क म्हणून सुद्धा घेऊ शकू. पण आपल्याला कशी मोठी ध्येय ठेवता येते, त्या मोठ्या ध्येयांसाठी कशी आपल्याला मेहनत करायला लागेल, आणि आपण घरात कुठून आलो किंवा कुठे अपयश मिळालं ह्याचा आपल्या फ्युचरवरती कसा दुष्परिणाम होऊ, म्हणजे चांगला ऐकूया, वाईट परिणाम होऊ नाही द्यायचा. म्हणजे दुष्परिणाम होतो. सरांनी तर 80-80 मिळवले ते, आपण सगळ्यांनी हसलो असू आपल्याकडे की 80-80 मिळालेला माणूस इतक्या लेवलला कसा पोहोचला. सो सर, थँक्यू व्हेरी मच. आणि आपल्या सगळ्यांनी याचा मॅक्झिमम फायदा घेऊन पुढे जावं. आपल्याला ह्याच नव्हे, ते इतर अनेक प्रोग्राम मध्ये सुद्धा जे आपण आपल्या करिअर कट्ट्यासाठी फॉर्म्युलेट करतो किंवा करणार आहोत, ह्याच्यात पाटील सरांचा आपल्याला नेहमीच गायडन्स असतो. कारण काय, आपण AI वरती प्रोग्राम करणार आहोत, आपण इंटर्नशिप प्रमोशनसाठी प्रोग्राम करणार आहोत, आपण लोकांकडनं ट्रेनिंग सेशन्स घेणार आहोत. हे सगळ्याला सरांकडे स्वतःचं सॉफ्टवेअर आहे, तेही त्यांनी ऑफर केलेलं आहे, आणि त्यांचं प्रचंड मोठं नेटवर्क आहे. सो पाटील सर, थँक्यू व्हेरी मच फॉर sparing your time, sharing your knowledge, energy, and such a vast experience which you have earned over